Hi, my name is Shane Brody. I'm here in, are we in Kansas or in Missouri?
You in Kansas?
Okay. We're right near the border. Kansas City kind of straddles the border of Missouri and Kansas. And we're in a small RV and we're trying to make do today. We're at my guest's workplace and they were kind enough to bring a small RV so we can have a couple interviews today. Um, we're going to have to keep this interview a little bit shorter because we had a lot of setup, and thank you for being so patient today. So I'm a trans man, transgender, transsexual. I use both terms. Um, and I've been traveling around the country talking to trans, intersex, non binary, gender non conforming people, as well as parents and some allies. And it's been a lot of fun. And I'm kind of on a western and northern trip, and then I'm probably going back to Alaska fairly soon. And I'm going to turn it over to my guest for a moment, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Trans, she, her are my pronouns. Um, I've known I was trans since I was 3,
Mm-hmm.
so it's been a long, hard life just coming to terms with it.
Okay. Did
Um,
you come out, or not come out, but come to this transition later in life?
yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was 57 when I started my
Wow.
transition,
Okay.
and I'm 60 now.
Hmm.
I haven't had surgery because insurance problems.
Sure.
Insurance just doesn't cover a lot on us
Right.
at most places. But I've, like I said, been known since I was 3. I do have a partner. She is female, she, her. Um, I told her about it when I was about 36, I believe.
Okay. So you've been
And
together for a very long time.
yeah,
Yes.
32 years.
Okay.
And
Great.
in June will be 33.
Great.
So it was difficult for her at first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was gonna try to start transition when I was about 37,
Okay.
and
So about 20 years ago.
yeah, and she really didn't want me to go through anything until our child was out of school.
Okay.
So I waited until he was way out of school
Mm.
until he was 25, 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure that all my insurance coverage and things like that, he was a full grown man doing what he needed to do.
Okay.
And it was difficult growing up. My dad was a Marine,
Mm.
and really hard nosed.
Mm.
He made a man out of me,
Okay.
and
What does that mean?
um, I did everything a man needed to do. I worked 60 hours a week on average.
Okay.
Anyway, and when I'm home, I work. My spouse is disabled,
Mm.
and her father is staying with us now.
Okay.
So I take care of them as much as I can. My wife can still move around, things like that, but her back is just totally wrecked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's had 3 back surgeries, so I try to.
So maintaining a job as well as insurance coverage was really important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's on Social Security and Medicare,
Great.
so that helps. So now I only have to cover myself,
Mm-hmm.
but since my insurance doesn't cover anything really to do with me anymore, it's at a point where if something happens, I don't even want to go to the doctor because they may attribute it to my meds or something like that.
Oh, to transition related care.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
actually, that is a problem. I've also had that. Like, I went in for a blood test once. It was like a diabetes test. I don't have diabetes, but I was getting tested. And the doctor said that I should never come back to that clinic because I was a trans person and she couldn't treat trans people. She said it would be illegal for her, which is not true at all. She was just a
exactly.
general practitioner giving me a blood test. It was so strange.
Right.
So strange. And that it's very common. That's very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mainly, I haven't had too many problems with that. Most doctors are, they're doctors. They treat patients.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, right.
and just
They take their
because-
job seriously.
Yeah,
And-
just because we're trans doesn't mean that we're not people.
That's
that
right.
We're not human. I know that the consensus, especially nowadays, is we're not really human. But
Yeah.
I came up with a term that I told my boss the other day when we were talking. I said, okay, because I had a priest that told me I was an abomination to God. I'm Catholic.
Okay.
So after that, I didn't go back.
Mm.
I haven't been back to church since.
Was that when you were in your late 50s?
No,
No.
it was after I told my wife.
Okay.
And,
About 20 years ago.
just religious counseling,
Okay.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to confession, you got to confess.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and he said I was an abomination to God.
Is that what you grew up in?
No, I actually converted after I met my wife.
Okay.
She's Catholic, born and raised, and I converted, and then I confessed. Yeah, you're supposed to, so I did finally. But it
And
was
in that way of thinking, everybody is a sinner, right?
right.
But you love the sinner and you forgive, right?
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But he was all about, we got to do something about this. You can't think like that. It's
Okay.
it's ungodly. And I didn't choose this path. It's not a choice. And
Yeah.
I mean, people think that it's, well, I can be anything I want to be. It's not even that. I mean, there's biological science out there that proves that we were born this way. We just didn't come out with the right body parts. It's and trying to get people to understand that they're not looking at the science and the new science that is out.
Also, if you look at the trajectory of your life, it's obviously something you thought about for a really long time, and you talked to people about over the course of your life. Like you were saying, you talked to your wife about it and whatnot. So it's not like it's just, oh, one day I'm just gonna completely change my life. This is it sounds like a process for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a long time. It took a really long time.
Yeah, she was the first person I told. And I was in my 30s when I did it.
Yeah.
But I'm 60 years old, so when I was growing up, there just wasn't any research at all.
No.
And we didn't have the internet.
Right.
None of that stuff was available to us.
Right. You were middle-aged when the internet was starting to become popular.
Yeah.
Me too. I was in my wasn't middle-aged, but I was in my late 20s,
Right.
And so that's when information was being shared among communities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it helped a lot because at least at that point I understood that I wasn't the only one like this, because when you've got nothing else, you just think that's what it is. You're the only one, and you're some kind of a an abomination.
Right.
So
Yeah, I love those kind of early websites where people were so giving. They would put up pictures of themselves and describe their lives and that sort of thing. And it was just so. I would go there every day actually and look at these pictures. I mean, they wouldn't update them every day, but for me, it was like, oh, there's a possibility out here.
exactly.
This big gruff guy with a beard and stuff. Maybe I'm not big and stuff, but you know, I could grow a beard too. Wow,
Right.
that was revelatory for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 60 years old. I still can't grow a beard.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, I don't want to.
right,
Don't get me wrong,
right.
but I still have to shave, but I cannot grow a beard.
Were there any of those early websites that you checked out a lot, like I did,
Um,
or
I
groups, chat groups, or something
I didn't
like that?
really do any of that because I was trying to fix myself
Mm.
because I didn't understand it, and
When you say fix yourself, what do you mean by that?
what
Because
I
you
mean
brought
by
that
it
up with
because
the priest as well.
yeah, I thought there was something wrong with me because at that time, even when the internet came out, there wasn't information on what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mental disorder.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been declassified as that now.
Exactly.
So it's no longer thought of as a mental disorder, just like being gay isn't anymore.
Right.
So I don't think it really matters what causes this in a way for us in our lives,
Right.
you know, because people can identify however they want, right? There can be trans people who don't go through medical processes.
Right.
You know, they don't get surgery, they don't go on hormones and that sort of thing. It's actually kind of a broad spectrum of identities.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then there's people like us who do want to do those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want nothing more than
Mm-hmm.
just to be myself
Yeah.
and just be accepted. And people, they say, "Well, I don't want this shoved down my throat."
Mm.
And then I look at them and I say, "Okay, so why are you trying to shove your way of life down
Right.
my throat?
Right.
Because it's a turnabout.
Right.
No one wants that.
Right.
We all want to be free,
Right.
and we live in America.
Right.
It's supposed to be that way,
Right.
but it's
Why is
just
it
not.
Why is it somebody else's business what you do?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was at the nail salon not this last time.
Yeah, I
but
saw that you had really ornate nails there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I work in the trucking industry.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all I do is move trailers in and out of
Mm.
doors all day long.
Yeah.
So I take care of my nails. I got a nail tech that when I go in, I give her creative authority over my
Okay.
nails.
Yeah.
I don't give her like I see women go in all the time. They'll say, I want this done."
Sure.
Well, it never turns out exactly like that.
Sure.
But
I'm
I
an
give-
artist and I shy away from doing custom work
Exactly.
because custom work it's there's always pitfalls to it because it's
Right.
never exactly like how somebody wants it
Right.
because it's coming from you.
It's an art.
Yeah.
And I just tell her, okay, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Right.
And she does some fantastic designs.
Oh, that's
I've had all different kinds of designs, and people come up to me, "I love your nails.
Yeah.
Where
I
did
noticed
you do that?"
I noticed your hair is a little bit purple too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was pink
Yeah.
down
Mm-hmm.
here, and then pink started fading, and it was
Mm.
blonde. So I did it's like a dark black purple.
Okay,
but
yeah.
where the blonde is, it just turned more purple.
Sure.
Which is cool. I like that.
Sure.
But
I know some men when they get some white or gray in their beard, sometimes they will put henna on it. So
Right.
those parts will turn bright red.
Right. Right. Yeah. I just didn't get to do any of this when
Yeah.
I was younger, and I know, an older female shouldn't, really worry about that. They worry more about their gray, but I'm not really all that gray.
Yeah, and you look really hip. I mean, the purple and the nails and the tattoos and stuff. You look
Right.
like you're about to get on a motorcycle.
Well, I've got a 14
Oh, there you go.
Softail, so
There you go.
yeah, I do.
I
ride.
noticed in this area there were a lot of motorcyclists.
Yeah.
I came down here yesterday just to check it out to make sure I could find the place. And there was like a club with colors and everything. And they had stopped at a little bar down here. Then they took over the road and we're just like, down
Right.
the road. It was pretty
Yeah,
great.
the guy that was out in the truck out there,
Mm.
he is actually president of an MC.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this area must be great for it because it's the roads are fairly flat, but then you got little hills and then you got the forest, so I bet it's
Right.
really nice. I bet it's
Right.
really nice to
It's
ride.
depending on where you go. There's a
Yeah.
lot of roads out that are really nice to ride
Mm.
on, and then you've got some that are just you look down the road and it's flat and straight, and it's like this is
Sure.
gonna take forever.
Out on the plains or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you have a nice little ice house to break up the monotony every once in a while, that I bet that would be fun.
Yeah, it's I just love to ride.
Are you in a club, by the way?
No,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
I was
There are
a sponsor with Baca.
I've met a couple of people who have been part of a trans club, a motorcycle
Right.
club down in Texas.
I found one here in the KC area,
really?
but I haven't approached them yet
Okay.
because I work too much
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I was a sponsor in Baca, Bikers Against Child Abuse.
Oh, nice.
But with everything that's going on,
Yeah.
I broke away and quit associating because I don't want to ruin the name of the club
Mm.
or the organization because they don't consider themselves a club, because they do a lot of good work.
Yeah.
And because most people don't want trans people around their children,
Mm.
I kind of dropped it because I just don't want anyone to think badly about
Yeah.
the organization.
That's a terrible. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but it makes me so sad to hear somebody say that. Because,
Right.
You're obviously a loving, gentle person who wants to, have camaraderie with other bikers, but then also for this good cause. And
Right.
trans people are just people here in America. We're just people.
Right.
And we're all over the world. And we do all kinds of work. Like, I've done a lot of caregiving myself of older people, of elderly people and disabled people.
Right.
It's natural to want to be able to do these things. So with this controversy going on, it's like we're cut off from life. We're cut
Right.
off from association from other people. And it really shouldn't be that way. I hope that when people see these videos, these interviews that I'm doing, that they really understand that we're people who are part of society. We're your neighbors, and we do volunteer work.
Right. I've got 13 grandchildren.
Oh
so
my goodness.
I've got one
Wow.
great grandchild.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So you
and-
have a lot of experience with taking care of children. Yeah.
Right. But right now, with everything going on, like
Yeah.
the laws in Florida, I'm afraid to even see my grandchildren because if they start that everywhere, then that's going to be a real problem for me.
Yeah, down in Texas, they were, starting to investigate families, that had like trans kids.
Right.
And as we were saying earlier, you knew from an early age. I also knew from an early age. We just weren't able to get medical care. We weren't able to have affirmation for who we were.
Right.
So we both waited a long time
Yeah.
to live our lives more fully. Right.
Well, my dad, like I said, he was a Marine, right? And when I told him, I thought I was going to be disowned, and my dad was actually the most accepting out of anyone.
Oh, really?
He said, I don't understand it, but I accept it.
Wow.
And he said, and that explains a lot growing up.
Yeah.
When
well,
you were
he knew
younger.
He knew you.
So,
yeah.
And then my brother finally, he's known for a long time, but he finally came to terms with it. We got into a really bad argument, and then the next couple of days I stayed away from him. The next couple of days he approached me. He says, I need to talk to you. And it was after, because I had a video session, a live video session with one of my therapists, and he was in the other room and heard what was going on.
Oh, okay.
So
he knew more detail of what's going on with you. Okay.
And then it made him think about our childhood. I'm 6.5 years older, but he came out. He said, after hearing what you were talking about and remembering, he said that explains it.
Yeah.
He said, the other night I almost hit my sister. And I said, well, I've been telling you, you just don't understand it, because I've lived as a man in that persona for so long. I've learned all the things that men do, working on cars. In fact, my mother called me last night. Rachel, I need you to come save me. My car won't start.
Right.
So.
And you have a big, beautiful truck and this RV, and you work in trucking. It sounds like you're very accomplished in terms of doing mechanical stuff and
plumbing and wiring. I do a little of everything. As they say, jack of all trades, master
or a Jill of
none.
all trades in this case.
Yeah. But it's been really, really hard.
Yeah.
Well,
it sounds like though you're getting a little bit of support from your family.
Yeah, my family now. I mean, my mother told my two daughters that what I am was against God. And that's been, 20 years ago.
Isn't that between you and God, though?
Yeah, I would think. But my dad told me once, and he became a preacher. And he told me, he said, God made you the way you are.
Yeah, that's right.
He said, so you're here for a purpose, and only God knows what that purpose is. But you need to follow your heart, because that's what God's telling you to do.
Yeah. Well, I like your dad.
He was totally different in his older years than he was in his younger years, because I sure got some beatings when I was younger. And
sorry to hear
part
that.
of it was because I wasn't boyish.
Yeah.
Go over there and hit him. Fight. So
it's so weird what we think of like as a cure for that is violence. Why? I just never understand that.
Well, I took Taekwondo when I was 15, and all the bullying that I got before that, there was a couple of instances after, and I resolved the bullying problem, so that didn't happen anymore.
Self-defense. Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're being bullied,
But violence isn't what I like to do, but if I have to, I'm going to defend myself.
Yeah. As every person has the right to do.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do I come into work dressed like this every day? No, I don't, because I don't work in that kind of an environment.
Yeah. That's interesting, because you do have some of your employees here today.
Exactly.
We're here on a Sunday at your workplace, and some of your employees are here, and they are super cool with you. In fact, the camaraderie is really nice. Like, I'm really impressed because you're with basically the second in command here. You're a manager, and
Well, not really. I'm just a lead.
okay, but
yeah,
you're in a position
I
of
get treated
power.
like management.
Yeah, and you basically kind of run this place, and in a way, and the camaraderie I see with people around you is really precious. I mean, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of the people that I work with know I've got their back.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
If something happens and I don't feel that it was their fault, I'm gonna back them up 100%.
Yeah.
Right. I'm always there when they need me.
Yeah.
When they call me.
I also noticed that a lot of your employees, well, the ones I've seen so far, are people of color, and that's a big population here in the Kansas City area. It seems like a really diverse workplace, and the employees I've seen so far, they seem to really love you. So I'm imagining, since some of your employees know about this aspect of your life,
all of them do.
Yeah. So how did that go? How did you come out? Because I'm imagining that this is a very male-dominated industry,
Yes.
fairly macho, right?
Yes.
Independent, very independent, some
Yes.
very independent people. So what was that like, coming out to people, actually individually, but then also kind of at your workplace, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I got a hold of the company and I said, I need to change my pronouns. I've got to be myself. And they said, okay. So I changed my name on the time in program, basically.
Sure.
Is what we've got, and it gives you all your benefits, everything. But
The payroll, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said there's a place for a preferred name on it. So
Great.
I went in and changed the preferred name. And nobody gives me any trouble.
Right.
HR said, if anybody says anything, call us. I said, well, normally I can handle,
Yeah.
and I've got people here that don't agree.
Yeah.
But they don't say anything.
Good.
Because they know that it's not good to really upset your boss.
Right.
So
yes, you're the boss.
we all
and
get along good.
And it's just not polite. And you have to make changes because how people address you, your name and your pronouns that you use. But really, it's not something that other workers should be talking about amongst themselves, or like approaching you in terms of you're doing your job. They should just address you as who you are.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Well, last year I went to Best of the Best because
What is that?
That's where they send you up to the home office for the weekend.
Like extra training, or?
No, you go up and get recognized for being good at what you do.
Okay, great.
And I've been doing this particular type of driving for around 12 years.
Okay.
So I don't know how many trailers I've backed, but it's up way up.
Right.
Doing
and
60 to 100 a night.
And it's really hard too. Even like over the road truck drivers, like I spend a lot of time at truck stops because I'm traveling, right?
Right.
And I see them and I'm like, oh my goodness.
The thing
even they have trouble.
Back up,
Yeah.
So if they're hauling cross country, right, they'll back up to go to a truck stop after they pick up. So they back up once, twice a day.
Yeah.
I
Where
back
you're doing
up
it 60 or 70.
to 80 a day, and I've been at other places where it's been 75 to 150 trailers a day.
My goodness.
So
they're working you hard.
It's not really that they are.
Yeah, you must have a really good spatial relationship because doing that is really difficult. I've done that a little bit. I decided not to go for a CDL because partly because of that.
I've
So I know how difficult it is.
I've been driving 46 years.
Oh, there you go. There you
I
go.
started when my dad owned trucks, so
Okay.
I
So it's in your
he
family.
I was riding with him one night, and he's falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Dad, if you don't wake up, right, pull this thing over. I'm driving."
Okay.
So he did,
All right. Yeah, those are the bad old days when
and
people would overwork themselves like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I was 12,
Mm.
but I pulled off and drove the truck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, people complain about the new rules, which I understand why they complain. I understand. But yeah, as we can see, sometimes truck drivers will work themselves to the point of exhaustion. Yeah.
and those were the old days when
Yeah.
you could actually run a paper log. Now
Yes.
you can't do it.
No, you can't. It's all
But
digital now. And they check you at all those stops, you know.
well, yeah, but you've got uh, passes now where they'll just scan you as you go under them.
Yes. Right.
And
It's
once
very
in a
quick.
while they will pull you in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But yeah, before I ever started at a place, my cousin had a load going to Arkansas,
Mm.
and he wanted me to drive his truck. So I took the load down to Arkansas. I didn't have the logbook, nothing. I got pulled into the scales
Oh no.
in Arkansas. Right, so
The
I'm
feds
like,
got
oh
you.
no, what do I do? So I just grabbed one of his old
Oh,
logbooks
okay.
and I went in there. I walk in, hand him the logbook, and then the scale master behind him said, "Hey, look at this." And I looked at the weight, and the guy was 37,000 pounds on his drives.
Oh my goodness.
So the officer that was checking my
Yeah.
book went like this, handed it back to me, and said, "Have a great day, driver."
Okay.
It was all I could do to keep from running back to the truck to get out of there. But yeah, that was an experience,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them because I mean they can pull your license. They can
Oh yeah,
they have a lot of control. So.
yeah, because at the time I didn't have a med card.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't,
Wow.
no
Wow.
paperwork,
Yeah.
nothing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was
How long have you been with this company, by the way?
about 3 years and 8 months.
Okay, so you started here basically when you were doing your process.
Right.
Yeah.
It started right after.
Okay. All right.
About 6, 8 months after I started here.
So we talked a little bit about your coming out process at work. Maybe we should talk about that a little more. Did you find any like support here, but beyond HR? Like, were some of the employees like, yeah, whatever?
Well, the boss that hired me,
Yeah.
after he found out, he tried to get me fired.
Okay.
But my work record and my work ethic, that actually got him fired.
Oh, wow.
So,
Ah!
I mean, and he
I
wasn't
love
even
it.
on this site
I love
anymore.
it.
He was at another site, but when he found out, he tried to get me fired, and the company
Was he
let
making
him
stuff
go.
up or whatever?
I don't really know because
Okay.
it didn't. Nobody ever came to me
Okay.
other than one of the other employees that used to do my position,
Okay.
and he told me, and that's how I actually came out, because he wanted me to do what I do now, and he didn't do it the same way because he wasn't as computer savvy, right? And he wanted out. He'd been doing it like 6, 7 years. I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. So
So he kind of
I told him, I
handpicked
said,
you.
I'm trans, man. I don't want to do it because I work nights, right? I'm in the shadows. I just do my job.
Okay.
And I'd been a lead for 2 years, just about anyway. And he said, well, that doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. So
So now, do you work during the day?
yeah,
Okay.
I work 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It depends on the employees taking PTO or
Okay.
calling in or something like that.
Sure.
I cover,
Okay.
or I try to find someone else to cover because I get way too many hours.
Yeah, you don't want to burn out too. Yeah.
So I try to get someone else, but if I can't, there's no forced overtime. So
Yeah.
I'm customer oriented, so I
Yeah.
want to make sure the customer is taken care of.
Right. And right now, in the last few years as well, trucking has been really important. Like moving goods and that sort of thing because of the COVID disruption
Right.
and manufacturing disruption. It's so important. I know that for good reason up in Alaska because we're kind of almost at the end of the distribution line, right? Of the
Right.
supply chain. And, there's some places that are further than Fairbanks, like the smaller villages,
Right.
but not too much. Fairbanks is kind of it.
Right.
Yeah, so I know about the shipping and the trucking because we'll order stuff and it won't come for months.
Yeah.
We keep checking online and it says, "Oh, pending, pending." It's like, oh,
Yeah. That would be disruptive.
yeah. So yeah, trucking is a very important industry, and also railroads. We're right by the railroads here, which is very exciting to me. I love the railroads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does my spouse.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
wants to move and live right next to a railroad
Oh,
so she
yeah.
can hear the train.
I love them. I love listening to the scanners and seeing what they're doing.
I'm like, I've got to sleep.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes then
Right.
that just doesn't
Well,
work
get
for
her
me.
get her one of those really nice scanner radios. You can go to North Platte, which is the largest freight rail uh, um, freight what is it yard in the world,
Right.
and just have a little vacation and listen to all the trains.
Yeah, I can send her up there.
There you go.
And
There you go.
I can go to the beach.
That's right.
I mean,
Or out on your motorcycle or something.
right. Yeah, I'm born in California,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't get to stay. My dad was in the service.
Oh, right. So moving around a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I went back for a little while and lived on a boat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who live on boats in California because it's kind of a little bit cheaper.
Oh, not a little bit.
Yeah.
It was. This boat was at Port San Luis Harbor, right? So the mooring for the boat was $19 a year.
Sure.
So
Right.
yeah, and opposed to 4 and 5 guys living in a 1-bedroom apartment
Yes.
paying $1,500-$1,700 a month.
Right. And there's kind of you keep bringing this up a little bit. It's kind of a theme of solitude. You're wanting some solitude or privacy. I think that's really interesting. Like you want to work at night. And that sort of thing. And I'll tell you, I connect with that very well. When I was younger, I would work night jobs as well. I would work as a baker, for instance.
Right.
So I was there by myself. I had control over the situation. I could show my expertise. I didn't have to rely on what other people were thinking or doing. I could just show what I could do. Right.
Right.
And then I didn't have to deal with other people's social things around me because oftentimes, probably like you, I was also harassed, right? I was harassed at work often. So the less people, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really get harassed at work too much
I did. It was
because
awful.
well, I would, like I said, my dad made a man out of me.
Sure.
So I've always been top of my game in driving. This type of work that I do now, top of my game.
Sure.
I'm not the best out there,
Yeah.
but I would be in the top million.
Yeah. Well, and that's great too. You're showing your expertise there, right?
Right.
You're indispensable because you're such a good driver.
Yeah, that's what the boss tells me. I
Yeah.
tell him, "Gee, you got my pink slip ready yet?" I took
Okay.
time off from. I worked Tuesday,
Mm.
and then I had appointments and things with my wife through Thursday.
Sure.
So I told him I said, I'm going to take Wednesday off and Thursday off
Mm-hmm.
because I have doctor's appointments with my wife. He said, okay. I said, and because I don't take time off, I'm taking Friday off too.
Mm.
And he said, um, um, I said, no, I'm taking Friday. He said,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe you're at the point where you need to train somebody up a little bit so that you can go on vacation.
I've been trying.
Yeah,
It's,
because you don't want to burn out, and you don't want to get frustrated because obviously this is a good job and you like it,
Wednesday I got phone calls from work.
Mm.
Thursday I got phone calls
no.
from work. Friday, phone calls from work.
Mm.
Saturday, and today I'm down here, so I'm not receiving any calls, but I'm sure
You're just
if they
waiting.
need anything they will be contacting me, but I
Yeah.
shut my phone off and I never do that. So
Yeah. Well, good.
um,
Good. I know it's hard to, you know, uh, maybe like you as well. When I'm working, I work really hard, right?
Right.
I go for the best of my ability, no matter what I'm doing. Often it surpasses what the actual job is, but so it's hard for me to actually pull away from doing that. Right?
Exactly.
I want to be in there,
Yeah,
So
it's hard whenever
Mhm.
that's how you were brought up.
yeah.
I mean, to just work and work and work.
Mhm.
I was running a business when I was 10.
Oh, okay. What was that?
My dad pumped septic tanks.
Oh,
So
wow.
what we did was he decided to
Talk about
make
hard work.
riser lids
Mm.
so we wouldn't have to dig them up. We
Okay.
just put a lid on and run a pipe up top of the ground.
Smart.
And his trucks were specially designed.
Yeah.
Air pressure and vacuum.
Yeah.
So we could blow stuff back in
Mhm.
and stir everything up, pump
Yeah.
it out again, and it pretty well cleaned up.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing, building
Wow.
riser lids when I was 10
Wow.
out of concrete, made the forms and put it together.
Wooden forms and poured it and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
mixed concrete
Cement.
myself,
Oh my goodness.
and I was little.
I know. And doing concrete is hard because it's not only like heavy work. You have to mix things at the right ratio, and also, you could get chemical burns. I
yeah,
have
I
chemical
know.
burns on my hands
Yeah.
from building kilns. Like 10 years ago. I feel the little,
Oh, yeah.
scars there on the back of my
I burnt my
hands.
feet up one time
Oh.
pouring the floor.
There you go.
So, oh yeah, that was grueling.
Oh, I bet. Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
Yeah, I
Took all
couldn't
your
hardly
calluses
wear
off though, I
socks
bet.
well, I've always been a tenderfoot,
Okay.
but yeah, it was horrible.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't hardly put socks on. Couldn't
Yeah.
wear boots.
Yeah, when I was working with this refractory concrete, my, it should have clued me in, but the rubber gloves and the leather gloves, any kind of glove I was putting on was just disintegrating.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I've never really done concrete as a job.
Yeah.
I've driven concrete trucks.
Sure, that's the better end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Although I gotta say, I was in Texas not too long ago, and the people who pour some of the asphalt to fill the cracks in the roads there,
Right.
some of those people are artists, absolute artists, because they were like feathering it out and stuff. Not just chunking it in there. They were like making it nice. So
Yeah,
some of those guys who do that work are really artists.
it
you know.
lasts about a week and it's gone.
No, not in Texas. Maybe here, but not in Texas.
Oh, here they filled a hole out here on this street, and we've got to drive the street.
Oh, yeah.
It was about 8 inches deep.
Yeah, well, it's hard here because you actually do get a winter here, and there's a lot of moisture, and then also you have all these trucks just pounding it all the time. So yeah,
I was in
it's gonna tear up
Texas.
the roads.
They had an ice storm,
Mm.
so I'm getting ready to go up an overpass,
Yeah.
but it was uphill,
Okay.
right? And
Oh,
the
no.
the overpass went,
no.
over the hill,
Yeah.
and so everybody was getting stuck on that,
Mm.
including truckers.
Yeah.
Because they were following people right up onto the overpass. I'm like, why are you guys following them up there?
Well, they don't know how to drive in those kind of conditions.
Oh,
It's a
but
problem.
these are truckers. They should know
A
how
lot
to
of
drive.
a lot of truckers don't know that sort of thing. Like if you're a trucker up in the northern states or up in Alaska, you'll probably know that, but maybe not down here.
Well, he was a road driver, so I would think he would. But what I did was I just stopped back far enough I could get my truck rolling.
Yeah.
And then the traffic was on ahead of me, so I crested the hill.
Yeah.
And all was good.
Yeah.
And that one driver, he had a 365 Pete, and he was stuck right in the middle of it, and he couldn't go anywhere.
You know, in San Francisco once I saw, and you're just going to find this funny. Okay, there's a hill, and I believe it's Divisadero. So Divisadero goes across the city diagonally, and there's one part that goes through a really expensive neighborhood, and it's really hilly, it's really steep. And I saw a truck bottom out on the top of that hill. It was just like a little seesaw, you know? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how many drivers will just raise their landing gear, 4 or 5 inches and then take off, and then they'll hit and they'll hang their landing gear up. And if they do that on a railroad track, they are stuck.
Right. Or, you could ruin parts of the trailer or your truck. I mean, so easy. So let's take a break right now because I think that the next interviewee is contacting me.
Okay.
We have a little bit of a time limit today. I actually have 3 interviews that I'm doing today, which is really intense for me. It's hard to be so on all the time, right?
It is.
Yeah, but I've so enjoyed talking with you. You're doing a lot. You're in trucking. You have motorcycle and you. It sounds like you have worked through a lot of relationships in an interesting way, especially as an older trans woman.
Yes.
And so let's think about how we can round out this interview because we only have a few minutes. What else would you like to talk about?
What I would like people to actually get out of this is that trans people are not against you.
Yeah.
Right? They want their space and to be able to live just like every average human does.
Right. And to work, like we've talked a lot about your work and some of the social things you're doing.
And just, accept someone for who they are. If you get to know the person, it's a lot easier to understand if you talk to them. I mean, ask questions. Don't ask derogatory questions.
Right.
I mean, because there are things that are personal.
Right. Be polite.
Right.
Yeah. If you're not going to ask like your mother or your grandmother a particular kind of question, then don't ask a trans person that kind of question.
Exactly.
Yeah. Be polite.
And if you get to know them, anyone that is trans, normally they're decent, upstanding citizens like anyone else.
Right.
Who just want to work and live and live their life, not your life or the way that society wants them to live, the general society, I should say.
Well, that's one of the great things about America is that there is so much diversity. Exactly. Right? We all don't live the same way. We all have different lifestyles and different backgrounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I'm proud of what I am, but it's been a long, hard road.
Yeah. Right.
It's 60 years old. I mean, I've had 3 suicide attempts, and, it all related to that. Alcoholism. I drank for years just to cope because I didn't know any other way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? I tried the drugs things, but that really didn't work for me because I didn't like them.
Yeah.
But the alcohol, I drank a lot.
Yeah.
But
I used to drink a lot too. I quit.
I've since stopped drinking. I haven't had a drink in 8 months, and
Awesome.
I didn't really drink too awfully much before that. After I kind of quit when I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
But I would still go out and do a teetotaler.
Sure.
But
like a binge drink. Yeah.
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 I mean,
I understand.
Binge
drinking is kind of seductive because it's like, it's just every once in a while, but it's still a problem.
Right. It does. And it
I was a binge drinker.
more problems.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's so great too, because I mean, this is a really long process for you. Obviously, you held back some of your life because you felt like you had some responsibility for other people, and that's debatable, but also that was your circumstance, and those are the choices that you made. Hopefully, I hope for a world where people don't have to do that sort of thing, where they don't have to sacrifice themselves in order to have insurance and relationships and work.
Right.
That's what I hope for.
And I do as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime.
Especially the way things are now, it seems like we're kind of going backwards.
Yeah.
In understanding.
Missouri finally repealed that rule Bailey put in. He took it away.
Yeah.
But trans youth, they're trans if they say they're trans, and the thing about detransitioning is most of it is social, because people are too hard on them.
Yeah.
So they figure it's easier for them to detransition and just get back into society the way they want it, but they will end up with problems from it later on.
Well, it's state oppression. It's like the state itself is bullying kids.
Yes, it is. Well, bullying everybody, the parents, the kids. I mean, like I told my mom, my mom wasn't accepting, but my dad was, and I really didn't expect that.
And wow, he made a 180-degree turn there.
Yeah.
To being like a really understanding person.
Yeah.
And that's possible for everybody, I feel like.
Well, it didn't really happen because she had never actually seen me as me. And I had to take her to my uncle's funeral. And I came outside, ready for the funeral, and she didn't even recognize me. She didn't know who I was. I had to get within 5 feet of her before she even recognized who I was. So, and that, I think, was the real turning point for
your mother.
Yes. Whenever she actually saw me, it's like, wow.
So now she accepts you a little bit more.
Yeah. She even calls me Rachel.
Oh, awesome.
So
awesome.
Like I said earlier,
it's like
whenever she called me to work on her car, Rachel, I need some help.
Right.
So
it's like a renewed relationship.
It is in a way, because we didn't see each other much for about 20 years. After she said that to my children, I'm like, well, if it seems like you don't want to see me, so I'll just stay away. So I went for holidays, things like that, but I was a male at that point. Not me, but their perception of me was a male. And I mean, a lot of trans people get really upset whenever you misgender them. And I don't really, because that's that person's perception of me, not my perception of me.
Well, some
know
people
how I am.
Some people do get upset, and they have their reasons for that.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's really good reasons, like they're being bullied.
Right.
People are kind of doing it on purpose to upset them.
Right.
Or they're just having a bad day. We all have bad days.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of pressure against you, and you have all these laws that are coming out that are taking away healthcare, and people are on edge a little bit, and you have to be compassionate.
Yeah.
And understand that.
Or you should.
Yeah, or should. I mean, I would hope that, we treat each other with more love as the neighbors that we are,
I told my boss I was calling myself an abominated morphodite because when I was younger, my dad called me a morphodite.
Sure, okay.
And
I don't even think that's a word, but okay.
Well, it was his word.
Okay.
But so I was doing that, and my boss said, "You are not." I said, "Okay." Then I'm an evolutionary upgrade.
There you go.
How's that? And he said, well, that's better than the other one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then you call yourself a trans woman. That's a pretty accepted term now. So
right.
Yeah.
So, well, around here it's accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I live like 60 miles from here out in the country.
Yeah.
So, out there it's not really as accepted, but nobody says anything to me.
Also, you are you can have your privacy.
Yeah,
it's your
10
home.
Acres, and my neighbors are a quarter mile on one side, a quarter mile on the other side.
I'm sure they value their privacy as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Farming community.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm the only one without a farm.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there like that, kind of on the edges of big cities. There's hobby farms. There's people who just want solitude, just want their 10 acres and their horse or something,
Well, I own a house in town with my wife, and my dad got, his partner passed. And he called me, said I fell off the porch. And I couldn't get up. It took me like 2 hours to get up. So I told my spouse, I said, I'm gonna have to go out and take care of my dad. So she went out with me, and we've been out there since. He had leukemia and passed away.
So now you're your dad's caregiver.
Well, I was, but he passed from leukemia.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there at the end, you were taking good care of him. That's good. Yeah. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I love meeting older trans people, by the way. I've talked to a lot of younger people, and I just love meeting older trans women and trans men. And you have a lovely smile there, and I'm so glad that you wanted to be interviewed today.
I wanted to be interviewed because of all the things going on in the world. It's like because I work so much, it's hard to do anything for the community. So I figured this would be some of my contributions to.
Well, this is huge. I mean, you're fairly new to transitioning, and then you have a video on the internet. I mean, that's a big leap.
All right.
All right.
Shane, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for talking with me.
All right.
All right.
Send her in.
Till next time.
All right, man.